Hey everybody, my friends. So here we are. I'm just gonna give you a little bit of an update on the road so far. And also so her mystery school starts in 1 month. So that's the 9 month journey that I hold every year. I would love to have you. If you want to go deeper with me, that is the place to do it. Um, it's beautiful. You can ask all your questions at support@hermysteryschool.com or check out the website. We start the new moon in September, September 25th. And I'm actually currently, you can see, I'm developing the third year. So, um, there's a first year to the school, which stands alone, and then you can take it deeper in this third year. It's called True Nature, and it's a self-ordination, ritual arts. It's called the Fine Arts of the Willing Instrument. So it's a deepening. And yeah, that's kind of who my companion is right now, True Nature, and what she wants to be. Anyway, so here's an update. So yes, you're welcome. And please reach out if you have any questions. I'd love to deepen with you. Part of what I was thinking in relationship to, okay, the school's starting, and I take the school, I enroll in it. I consider it, but I'm in an interesting relationship with it because I'm holding it, but I'm also forever deepening into what's held there. It's a lot like a treasury. It's like a treasury of beauty, a treasury of deep feminine sensibilities and wisdom, and it saves my ass a lot of the time. So I've been asking myself, so I've been on the road for 2 months, and maybe a little bit over 2 months. So just in case you're wondering where I am, I ended up on Orcas Island the past close to 5 weeks. I'm about to leave, and then I'm heading north across the country to see my family. I'm gonna spend some time in Montana on the way, and then I don't know what happens after that. So I'm gonna spend some time in the East in the fall, and with the autumn on the East Coast. So what I thought about for this video was, okay, so Jumana, what are three things from her mystery school that are really present for me right now and that I'm deepening into, and also that are helping me? Because I really have changed my entire life, and I like the romantic notion that it's this big, and I know that ultimately it is. There's going to be at some moment, my wings are going to spread really wide, and I'm going to be so grateful that I did this. In the meantime, I got a lot of space and time to feel a lot of things and to grieve a lot of things, and that's one of the things that I've noticed with the school in general, and just in general, is that a lot of times when we finally make the decision, the choice, we shift things up. Or maybe it's been stressful. Maybe you've been, like I have, single parenting for a very long time and holding all that is. And then all of a sudden, your child is kind of on his own, or for some reason, there's some relief, and maybe you expect, and I've seen this in lots of different ways. Oh, life kind of delivers to this place of rest. You're like, oh, great, I'm going to rest now. I'm going to feel so good. And actually, what happens, and I think it's an important thing for people to know and feel okay with, what actually happens is then all of a sudden you can feel how tired you really are, or how much grief there is, or how many things you need to just take a minute and be with. And I think that that's an important, I've seen it again and again and again. And not just in my own life at all, that these moments of refuge are often not quite the fantasy that we thought they were, and that there's nothing wrong with that. So that's one of the things I'm surrendering to, is this understanding of how refuge really works, how our systems actually work, especially like how the process of replenishing, revitalizing, and rebirth actually works. That there often is, when it's finally allowed, there is actually a deepening into a letting go, a deepening into a kind of often sometimes it can feel like a collapse or a grief, and it's out of that the rebirth comes. it just can be confusing at times, you know. I certainly had a different idea in some ways, but I'm kind of over. I'm getting better at my addiction to fantasy, so I didn't expect this to be ecstatic all the time, and it is beautiful, you guys. I mean, this is what I asked for. Well, especially while I was creating True Nature, I asked to be in places of beauty that will resource me in a way that's much bigger than what I am, and much bigger than what I am, and the ocean and the mountain and the lakes and all of that. I'm finding that, and there's been some really beautiful communion. Um, so that was actually, it's one thing that I hadn't planned on discussing. The other, let's see, what are my three things? Oh, it's interesting. There's this, it's not a, maybe it's kind, I don't know if it's an official teaching of the school, but it comes up a lot, which is that she will never be captured, but she loves to be claimed. And there's a lot of nuance in that, but what that essentially means is you cannot capture the deep feminine. You cannot capture your sexuality. You cannot capture your soul. You can't capture life. The living will always elude capture every time, and that's why we work with deep feminine. That's why the school is holding deep feminine principles and sensibilities, is because the only way to know her is to approach her in a way that lets her be known. And most of our approaches, culturally, often spiritually, actually chase away and kind of, they it's like you're chasing the unicorn and therefore she actually hides, right? So there's this way that you cannot, not even in your words, not even in, definitely not in your identity, and not in your politics, and not in, nothing will capture her, but she will bring octave of beauty, and she'll bring holy wisdom to all other things that can be captured and named, right? So this she will never be captured, but she loves to be claimed. I mean, on a personal level, what I'm feeling is like, yeah, that's right. I did it again. I put everything on the fire because it was time. The tsunami moved through, and here we are because something's calling, and I have to follow that, right? And yet, I mean, in my world, what I long for, well, first of all, why that works is because the van contains me on some level. I'm not actually just out. And the school contains me on some level. It's holding me. It keeps me anchored. You know, the grounding and the claiming. You know, the school has claimed me. That this lineage has claimed me. I am restoring virginity still. And there are other, you know, that feeling of, you know, it's the feeling that I keep wanting so bad is a strong, beautiful, strong man, arm around my waist, like, or just pulling me. It's like a contained, it's an interesting thing because that's the yearning specifically. It's not for all the other things, which are also beautiful, but it's this contain me, claim me in the way, in that way of stewardship, in that way of being met, in that way that I know won't imprison me, but will hold me. You know, there's, for me anyway, and I think a lot of times there is this, we want to be shored up. We want to be claimed. We want someone tracking us on some level, because especially if you're giving away, you don't know what's gonna, you know, there's so much of a dance with the unknown, conscious dance with the unknown. Obviously, we're all in a lot of the unknown, but then we're even coming in to say, like, no, I will actually, I'll meet you, I'll be with you, and I'll let you have your way with me, unknown. I will let life, I will include the unknown in life, and I will let it have its way with me, because I trust in the natural law. I trust in sacred law, that it gives rise to the known and to what now wants to be revealed, right? So in that, the tonification of that is that there's a containment, and that something's still meeting you, still holding you, something's got you, you know. It's not just partnership, you know. I can feel how, as I'm traveling, this is great. And deep inside of me is a yearning to be claimed by land, by a place. I had it at Harbin. You know, when this like claimed meaning, that covenant of like, oh, there's a deep love and a deep covenant that I've experienced before that I do want again, I yearn for again, where I feel claimed and met and given place and held by land. So that's part of, I mean, that's one of the prayers of being on the road right now. Um, so she will not be captured, but she does love to be claimed in different ways, different moment, even in a moment, you know, claimed by the beauty of something. Just all the claiming is, and of course I have teachings about that, and but what we do know is that it doesn't imprison, it liberates and nourishes. Yeah, all sorts of things claim us, and it's that beautiful relationship of lover and beloved through the tradition that you choose, through the land that you love, through motherhood. You know, to actually find that. I think it's actually a very important. It's an important thing we work with as female beings. That there's this, you know, this undeniable, if you really let it move, it is undeniable. It will not be captured. And simultaneously with that, the yearning to be claimed will be equal. And I've watched a lot of priestesses, women, medicine women kind of work with this. We hold these things simultaneously. We hold many things simultaneously. Anyway, that was one thing. What was another one? Practice is refuge and resource. So I meditate now multiple times a day. And, you know, I love the idea that that could be just because, well, it doesn't work at all, that that could be the right thing to do. The where in this is a very kind of raw and living pilgrimage that I'm on. I'm in this transition. Practice is necessary. Like I go to it multiple times a day to recenter, to realign, to not spin out. Like it's a necessity. And I think that's one of the things that, you know, when you really step onto your path and when you really start to give way, particularly to the unknown, particularly to what wants to be lived through you, practice becomes so important. And, you know, obviously, I'm inviting you to her mystery school, and I want you to understand what it is, so you know if it's something that you want to be inside of for a while. But it doesn't. And her mystery school's got tons of practices. You have your practices too. There are other practices everywhere. What I'm aware of, and I have practices, you know, teachers that of my own too, but I have a deeper respect for what it is to practice. You know, there's two things. One is that by going and practicing, you know, cultivating presence, whatever, in whatever way, in a time when you're not triggered, when things are calm, when you can be really present, we're actually accumulating something during that time that then is present for us when we're in life and when things are happening. I mean, I'm on the road, I'm interacting with people, I'm making decisions all the time. There's tons of unknowns. I have to be on it, you know, and I have to have resource in order to meet that. Otherwise, I'm sensitive. I spin out, you know. I have to, my commitment to myself is to pay attention to that first and foremost, you know, that this be nourishing and that I not lose my ground. But that practice is both that, it is a cultivation of power and an entrainment so that as we're facing whatever we're facing, we have more of all good things. And it's also refuge. You know, the amount of times that I'll feel like, okay, I don't know what to do, I'm feeling a little this, I'm feeling a wave of grief, whatever's happening, and I go to practice, specifically guided practice, it allows me to fall into that and actually be resourced. So, you know, a lot of deep feminine practice, we're not using it to bypass. In fact, that's exactly not the point. But we are working with it in order to get resourced. So it's like you get present with all that you are and all that you're feeling, and we get honest and we get present. We don't bypass it. We widen and we gather support and more resource around that so that we're simultaneously in our transformation, but resourced. You know, it's when we're in transformation, or when we're in all of these things that we go through and we don't have resource, that we start to grip and things start to get more angsty than they need to be, and we often can start to make bad decisions or not our best decisions. So this movement of I'm in this, I'm feeling this, I'm with this, because this is my holy life, this is my sacred path, whatever is actually with me right now. Right? In deep feminine way, we acknowledge the specificity of sacred path, the holiness of the mundane, all these things, but to have greater resource while it moves through allows these processes we talk a lot about in the school, dilation, right? Dilation, softening, movement, nourishment in the midst of all that moves, right? Okay. What was my my final current takeaway is that medicine is everywhere if you know how to look for it and receive it. And it's very lucid for me right now because that's all I'm really going on. But I've made an observation, and here's my observation, is that these places of beauty in creation, and this is where I'm going, where I'm seeking out, because I need to fill that deeper place in me. People are drawn from all over the world to these places because they are so medicinal. One thing that I'm learning, and one thing that I observe, a lot of people, I don't think, it's like, I feel like I'm watching a lot of people go to these places, but not really have any idea what to do there. You know, they walk through, they take a few pictures, they're on, but it's like they never actually fully arrive. It's like, and there's a teaching in there, and it has to do with receiving her, you know, all deep feminine, you know, and we are one unto ourselves, right? There is a wholeness, there is a completeness in our true nature. That's what is true. And for us to be received, for the deep feminine to be received as much as she possibly can, there's an unfurling that happens. Just watch it, check it out, see how often actually what's painful for you is that you're just not being received. Not all the other things, just on some level, like what you're giving or who you are or whatever it is just isn't actually being fully received. And so you can feel your fertility, your seeds on fallow ground, right? And I watch it with these, you know, I'm kind of with the living body of the mother all the time right now. And I just watch it and I feel like she doesn't need anything from me other than maybe for me to take her in completely and let her change me. Let her love, let her beauty, let all that she is actually change me. I go to these places with the prayer of show me who I am, show me how I am like you, and show me how I can move like you. You know, the river, the sound. It's a lot about water, but also, you know, there's a lot with the groves of trees and things, but there's a way that if we want to invoke deep feminine, whether when we're with life, whether it's people, whether it's creation, whatever it is, that it's our approach. And that's a lot of what her mystery school, I'm realizing, is so much about, is deep feminine approach. There is a way for us to approach our own beings, our own hidden sacred, and life that elicits deep feminine, brings her to the surface, and lets her move and express and be revealed. But it's an approach. That's why we say in the school, it's 9 months of deep feminine sovereignty, illumination, and revelation. And that revelation piece is a lot of where we work with deep feminine approach that actually elicits the subtle and brings medicine and life to the surface, where then, we actually are in a form of lovership with creation, right? These are just some thoughts. You can see Nova in the background, can't you? Nova, did you know, you guys? So Nova means new star, but also when I was 1920, 19, 20 years old, I left the East Coast. I was in college. I graduated UVA. And then I left, I got a Chevy van with a bed in the back, and I just went west, literally because I felt called. That was it. And unbelievably naive. You've no idea. We are so grateful that I have, and I have had, protecting angels all over the place. But that van's name was Ova. At the time, I named her Ova Egg because she was my little egg. So my brother said, "Oh, you should name your new van Supernova." So this is Nova. Anyway, you guys, that's just a little moment in time. I really appreciate it. I felt like just you guys are really sweet and really beautiful and really sincere, and I'm happy to be connected to you. I'm Thanks for listening. And I make these videos mostly just to kind of speak from the deep feminine wisdom stream, specifically the one that I steward, and I hope that you find sustenance, nourishment, clarification, companionship in that. And if you want to join me for the school, we start on September 25th. You can find me at support@hermysteryschool.com. Love y'all.